Welcome to the Book Talk Hour. I'm your host, Kambiz Mostofi, and thank you for listening to Tchaikovsky. That was the 1812 Overture. And first we're going to start off by talking about some of the recent news that's come about in the book industry, and that is the issue of censorship. And one area in particular where we face censorship is in Arizona. We've seen a list of banned books that have come out, books that have been banned because they were too controversial or said things that were contrary to what the status quo may or may not have believed in. Now, everybody has their own views on what history should look like and what books should look like, but in the end, we do agree that there should be one standard system for learning. However, censorship in any form in a democracy is unacceptable. Now, this book list is quite a long list, and whoever compiled this list or put together this list definitely knew what books they were attempting to ban. But banning books in a democracy is not only bad for business, it's bad for democracy itself. It makes authors and writers squeamish and scared to speak their mind, and that's the last thing you want an author or writer doing. And to talk about some of the issues that book publishers are facing, which is piracy, and piracy is a big issue. An author or writer deserves to be paid. That's one of the first tenements of becoming a writer. It's your right to become paid. You should be paid for your work. However, one of the problems that writers and book publishers and their distributors face is piracy. It's people who pirate online. It's people who pirate using electronic means. It's people who pirate in print. And one of the biggest problems is piracy for the industry, and authors and writers and book publishers are losing profits. What do? There's two ways to combat it, and it happened during the heyday, or still there's DVD piracy, but during the hottest time or the climax of pirating DVDs. Companies decided to make the cost low enough that pirates, people who copied the intellectual property, would be forced to go out of business. For example, if a knockoff pirated copy DVD is selling on a street corner for $1.50 and the original is being sold for $2, $3, shrink-wrapped, original, and new, why would anyone go out and buy a pirated copy? The reason why pirated things come into existence is because individuals can't afford the price for what that brand is selling their product for. Hence, you have items becoming pirated or copied. Books, DVDs, medicine, websites, information, etc. So one of the first things that, as a book publisher, Mikazuki Publishing House decided to do, one of the things I decided to do as CEO of Mikazuki Publishing House, is to enforce the first rule, that education should be accessible by as many individuals as possible. What does that mean? Education should be accessible by as many individuals as possible. That means it should be affordable. That means people should be able to afford books. Books should not be expensive. One of the biggest reasons that books get pirated is because they're expensive. Look at individuals in college who borrow textbooks from each other. Look at the problems that students face who are facing financial difficulties, can't get their financial aid on time. What do? They end up sharing a textbook. They use a textbook from their friend. They borrow notes. These are problems. The accessibility of everyone, the accessibility for everyone to information is sacrosanct. It's vital. It's important for not only this economy, but also this democracy. It's important for everyone to be able to access information for a low cost, and that means books should be priced at a low cost. But what is a low cost and what is a high cost? Some people think $23 is a high cost. Some people think $14.99 is a high cost. What is the high cost? That has to do with the consumer, and it has to do with the amount of expert power that's being conveyed through that book. Because again, what is a book? A book is a vehicle for the transmission of information, for the transmission of knowledge. And authors and writers deserve to be paid, and they don't deserve to be pirated. They don't deserve to be copied or knocked off or imitated. However, what happens when you have an individual who can't afford to buy that book? What do? Do you deny that individual access to information? Do you tell them you can't have the book because you don't have the money in your pocket? Do you lower the price because of them? Do you sell one book at a higher price to a higher consumer and a lower one and a lower price to another consumer? Yield management, just like the airline industry does. What do? What you do is you let the course of destiny do what it does. And if books are priced too high or DVDs are priced too high, they do get pirated because people want to have access to information. And if they can't access them, they will find a way to access them. Then again, if it wasn't valuable, they wouldn't try to access them. The reason why they try to access them is because there is value in them. But the problem is they can't afford it. So what do? They copy. And what happens? The author loses royalties. The writer loses royalties. The illustrator loses royalties. The publisher loses royalties. And that means less money, less jobs, less for the GDP, less for the economy. It's a spiraling problem. And how does it stop? It stops by publishers pricing their books at a price that is acceptable to consumers. One of the reasons many people have turned to ebooks is not only because of the convenience of being able to hold thousands of books, probably millions of books on one e-reader, but more importantly, they're able to always have access to the largest amount of titles at a low cost. And ebooks are viewed as being able to be produced and manufactured at a lower cost, but that's not what's important. What's important is the consumer wants to feel that the price that they're paying for, they're receiving value for. So if they believe that they're paying more than the price of a book, they won't buy that book, and that's what happens. And all day long, publishers lose out to other publishers who are giving good information for a lower price, and that's what one of the first principles of Mikazuki Publishing House is. I want to talk about the Orange County Children's Book Festival. The Orange County Children's Book Festival on the 30th of September 2012. It's from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Orange Coast College. Author Rosalind Kazmaier, who's written Adventures of Jasper, wrote The Healthyville, will be appearing at the OC Children's Book Festival. And the OC Children's Book Festival, for those of you who don't know, it's the largest children's book fair in the world that's free. And it's open to the public. And it's a very important event because tens of thousands of individuals come, parents, families, children, come, and some of the best authors in the world appear, and one of them is author Rosalind Kazmaier of Mikazuki Publishing House, which will be there, as well as author Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, champion basketball player, a hero, a national hero almost in America and throughout the world, will also be there and will be doing book signings. But again, please come out on September 30th, 2012. Come and visit author Rosalind Kazmaier of Mikazuki Publishing House. She'll be presenting her book, Adventures of Jasper, Road to Healthyville, at the Orange County Children's Book Festival. That's the largest children's book fair in the world, and that's on September 30th, 2012, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., and that's at Orange Coast College. And again, that's in Costa Mesa, 2701 Fairview Road, Costa Mesa, California, 92626. And we look forward to seeing you all there. It will definitely be an absolutely exciting event, and there'll be many people in attendance, and you want to be there. And it's going to be a very magnificent day, as there's going to be many famous authors and publishers and writers and famous individuals and celebrities who will be mingling with the crowd, and it'll be important to come out there. If you have a child, to bring them there, buy books, support the industry, support American book publishers, buy their books, and that's the best way to help fight piracy and to support the American book industry and to support American book publishers. And again, it's very important that we look at how the industry is structured, because we're going through a period that the industry is restructuring itself. What we have to do as consumers, as authors, as writers, as publishers, as individuals that love books, as people that love art and illustration and entertainment, what we have to do is get involved and attend these events and buy books and support book publishers and support authors and support writers and support illustrators and support artists and graphic designers, because that's what the industry is about. It depends on people's support. Ray Bradbury said, one of the most dangerous, to paraphrase him, one of the most dangerous things for a culture is for us to lose our want and our need to read. We need to read. We need to gain information. We need to learn, and that's one of the things we do, is reading books, buying books, learning. We attend events, and it's important to attend and patronize important events like this book festival, which is the largest free children's book festival in the world, and it's on September 30th. And again, author Rosalind Kazmaier, Mikazuki Publishing House, will be presenting her book, Adventures of Jasper, Road to Healthyville, at the OC Children's Book Festival, the largest children's book fair in the world. And for those of you who've been listening, a few nights ago, we actually interviewed author Rosalind Kazmaier on the show, where she talked about some of the problems that teachers are facing. She herself is a teacher. She's been a teacher for 9 years, a public school teacher for 9 years in New York. And it's important to patronize and support events such as the Orange County Children's Book Festival. Again, I hope that I'll be seeing you all there. And to talk a little bit about the political advertising manual. And the political advertising manual is based on my own experiences, not only in studying political science and gaining my bachelor's degree from California State University at Dominguez Hills in political science, graduating with honors, but also in running for Los Angeles City Council in 2011, which I had the honor of doing for San Pedro, Wilmington, Watson, Harbor City. And the book is a book of political marketing strategies that are used by pretty much every victorious candidate that achieves electoral victory. It explores key political marketing techniques, effective tactics for effective message delivery. It's the essential guide for any political candidate, issue-based organization, campaign staffer, political advertising executive, or student of political science. Right now is a very hot season. It's 2012. There's two major political campaigns squaring off. That's Romney and President Obama. And a book like this is actually very vital because it goes through the history of political television ads, how to create a campaign organization, how to organize a rally, how to shape your political platform, effective political marketing methods, why political campaigns fail, and political strategies that are known to achieve success. And this book is very important because it goes through important topics such as the hierarchy of politics and how politics is shaped through the hierarchy. And I've actually named it Mustafa's hierarchy of politics. And the voter is placed at the top. At the bottom of the pyramid, it's a pyramid-shaped hierarchy. At the bottom is the campaign organization. Then on top is the campaign manager. Then on top is the staffers. Then on top is the volunteers. Then on top is the issue. And then on top is the voters, and voters are placed on top because voters are the most important thing, and that's what the issue is always geared towards. It's what the voters are looking at. And again, I started my book by saying that I graduated with honors with a bachelor's degree in political science from California State University, Dominguez Hills. I had the honor of learning from many great professors that I've recognized in the acknowledgement section of this book. And during my period of education at CSU Dominguez Hills, I had the pain of experiencing hundreds of millions of dollars being cut every year from California's higher education budget. And I felt that getting involved was not only an important step to saving education, but more so an opportunity for me to express my frustration with the denial of funds to higher education resulting in the denial of resources needed to educate tomorrow's leaders. So I used the techniques I've expressed in this book to organize rallies to stop academic budget cuts. I worked on multiple political campaigns, ran for Los Angeles City Council in 2011, and I thought that sharing my knowledge and experience would empower individuals to use political advertising for advancing the greater good. And I believe that writing this book would be able to help others use the techniques to be able to better their environment that they're living in, and that was the reason for writing this book. It was to help better the lives of individuals in their own communities, because we always talk about the politicians sitting away far from us and making decisions, but we never talk about community politics or local politics, and the importance here was to talk about local politics and to express my frustration of the denial of funds to higher education, because when you look at higher education, it's the higher education jobs that create the majority of the current employees in California. So it's very important, California being a major player in the United States, and having the Port of Los Angeles and the strong economy, well, at least that it used to have, and hopefully that it will have again. But it's very important to first start from the local level and be able to work on the local level, and then from there, the local issues will be able to better mesh with the statewide and the national issues. So again, I talked about political science basics. I talked about the major legislative powers of Congress. I talked about the marriage between advertising and politics and how it works, and I recognized the term political marketing and how it first developed from Stanley Kelly, a early political consultant, and the use of advertising and marketing is used the term advertising and the term marketing are used interchangeably by media reporters and writers, but advertising is actually the physical creation and distribution of your message, whereas marketing is the overall field in which advertising is just a part in. In politics, there's many fields and subfields. However, political marketing uses the field of the study in campaigns and elections from political science and incorporates this with the creation and distribution of the message. I talked about what I call the political marketing mix, and everybody knows what the marketing mix already is, but I talked about the political marketing mix. And, well, everyone knows the four famous P's of marketing created by Professor Edmund McCarthy: product, promotion, price, and place. But I came up with the three P's of political marketing, which I call political issue, political branding, and political cost. Now, political issue is the candidate, or it's the issue itself, and a clear presentation must be made extolling the reasons, not only the experience, but more importantly, and most importantly, the vision. So many times candidates are falling back on their resume. Your resume is not important. President Obama didn't win on his resume. He won on his vision. And vision is what guides elections. It's what guides campaigns. And issues are best able to influence individuals to change parties and influence their other views as well. For example, an individual that uses the term gun control would more likely tend to vote or support Democratic or liberal issues. An individual that uses the term pro-life would more likely tend to vote or support Republican issues. So the stance or viewpoints that individuals take on certain issues will more likely than not determine how they will view other issues. So that's the first P in political marketing, political issue. Second is political branding. A candidate or issue that is not seen by the public will not receive support or donations from the public. It is vital to use press releases, social network marketing, media interviews, speeches, canvassing, targeted advertisements, and more to generate awareness in regards to your issue or candidate. The attitude that should be maintained is that of striving to keep the issue or the candidate, for that matter, in the public agenda. And finally, we have the political cost. And the political cost is, the first thing a potential supporter asks himself is, why should I support this person or organization? Supporters do not want to support a candidate or an issue that has little or no chances of advancing or winning. No one likes to join the losing team. The more money that political campaigns are able to raise in the early stages of the campaign, the greater the chances of success. So again, that was the political marketing mix, which you will only find here. We're talking about the political advertising manual, and it's written by myself, Kambiz Mostofizadeh. And this book, again, goes into depth for anyone who wants to run for political office. It talks about creating an organization, how to find a campaign manager who's responsible for overseeing the overall campaign, a political director who plans and creates strategies, the volunteer coordinator responsible for carrying out various tasks, including phone banking, canvassing, and most importantly, coordinating the volunteers, gathering and recruiting the volunteers, the community relations director who deals with clubs and associations and groups and gaining their support, the scheduler who maintains the campaign's official calendar and notifies the relevant parties according to the meetings or interviews that are set up, the opposition research director that conducts analysis in regards to competitions and supporters of the competition. It's shaping your message, and very important, I want to talk about shaping your message. And in shaping your message, it's about creating a message that resonates with your target audience. And this depends on the use of polls and surveys to understand and better gauge the importance of various issues to these potential voters or supporters that you're trying to gain their vote from. So the ability to communicate is not the ability to politically communicate, and this is very important. It's very important to understand this. Although the techniques that are used to sell a bar of soap are also used to sell a political candidate, that's not what political communication is. It's very important to make a clear distinction that marketing is not political marketing. Marketing is marketing, and political marketing depends on understanding what the issues are, because any political advertisement depends on understanding what the issues are and how the voters that the candidate or issue is trying to gain support from view these issues. And if you don't understand that because you haven't conducted polling, then you're taking a shot in the dark. It's just like you're throwing, darts blindfolded at a dartboard. You may hit something, but you're not going to hit bullseye. And that's what is important to do, is you have to poll and understand what the competitor thinks. And you want to see how political advertising affects, affect those individuals you're attempting to advertise to. An important study was done by Valentino, Hutchins, and Williams, consultants, and it was published by the International Communications Association, and it stated that political advertising affects those individuals who most have an understanding of the complex range of issues that define politics. Because politics are issues, and it's issues that are relevant to different parties, because in the end, politics is who gets what, when, where, and why, and in order for you to be able to create the correct political advertisement, it's very important to be able to understand who you're advertising towards, and you have to know that political advertising affects those who most have an understanding of the complex range of issues that define what politics are. Again, we're talking about the Political Advertising Manual, and it's by Mikazuki Publishing House, as all the books we've pretty much talked about have been. And if you'd like to get more information, go ahead and go to www.mikazukipublishinghouse.com. And this show, the Book Talk Hour, was brought to you by Mikazuki Publishing House. I thank you for listening, and I'm going to take you out with some Tchaikovsky. Have a beautiful night.